Hello, welcome to today's PowerPoint where we're going to be learning how to clean a blood spill with a step-by-step PowerPoint presentation. Today we are following the Brit Childcare Centre Bodily Fluids and Spills Management Plan. And this is part of the HLTWHS 003 Maintain Work Health and Safety Competency spoken by myself, Dakota Barnes. The relevant OH&S information we will be following within today's procedure and in all Victorian childcare centres is the Occupational Health and Safety Act of 2004 in Victoria, the Victorian Work Cover Authority Code of Practice, First Aid Within the Workplace, 1995. All staff members also need to use and wear PPE correctly when dealing with any bodily spills. And Quality Area 2 of the National Quality Standards is about children's health and safety, including the outlines and standards for hygiene and infection control within childcare centres. There is a different type of procedure for every type of blood spill. There are 3 types of blood spills defined in the Brit Childcare Centre's Bodily Fluids and Spills Management Plan. To assist us in defining them, I've provided some pictures to the side here. The first one is the first type of spill, which is less than that of a 50-cent coin. The second one is a blood spill smaller than the palm of our hands, and the third one is one that is bigger than the palm of our hands. These each require different cleaning strategies, and today we'll be focusing on the first one, which is less than a 50-cent coin. Today we will be cleaning a blood spill, which is that of a less than a 50-cent piece. This scenario is the child was sitting at a table doing some work, and they had a blood nose while sitting at the table. Once an educator has identified the spill, you need to then remove all children from the table they are sitting at and move them to another activity. You need to keep them occupied, otherwise they'll want to come back, they'll want to ask questions, and they'll want to know what's going on. An educator does always need to keep their eye on the table though, as there is blood here. We don't want any children coming over and touching it without our knowledge. You then next need to collect your spills kit. Everything in here is what you need to clean any spill of any type, whether it be blood or bodily fluids. You need to make sure that your spills kit is always prepared before you ever have to clean a spill. That way you never have to leave the site and you can get it done efficiently the first time. In today's spill kit, we have a disposable cloth, our paper towel, a pair of gloves, although you should always have a few more pairs of gloves in your spills bucket, just in case multiple people need to help clean up the site, or in case of when you are changing your gloves, you have your spare pair in here. You don't have to go and get another pair from somewhere else. Even if you are going to the same room to put like the bins out or to put the rubbish in the bins, you should still have the extra gloves in here, you should. We also have our detergent, which we'll be using when we clean the surfaces, and then we will put the detergent and water within our spills bucket. All within one area, easy to do, ready to go whenever there's a spill like this one. You just grab the bucket, come out, fill it with water, detergent, always reading the labels on the back as well, and then you can start cleaning. When washing your hands, you need to remember to take off any jewellery on the hands. This allows you to correctly wash your hands, but also for then when you put gloves on, there's no chance the gloves are going to rip or anything. You need to always wet your hands first before adding any soap. There are 10 steps to correctly washing your hands. You need to ensure that you follow all 10 steps when washing them. This allows you to ensure that you have really correctly washed them, and that, especially afterwards, you don't spread any germs around. Rinsing off, always using warm water as well, just helps to get rid of the germs a lot better. And then when you're done, don't air dry them, use paper towel. Always use the paper towel to wipe your hands, drying them properly in between all your fingers. Not drying your hands properly can actually cause a dermatitis on them, and it's really nasty, so you need to dry them properly. This also ensures that the bacteria growth has stopped. Once you're done drying them, turn off the tap and put this towel in the bin. Putting on disposable gloves should always be done immediately after washing your hands. You also always need to dry your hands, as mentioned before. Not drying your hands and then putting them into gloves will definitely cause some skin rashes, as it gets quite hot and sweaty in the gloves sometimes, and if your hands are a little bit moist, it's not really going to do much. Putting on disposable gloves just because if anything gets contaminated on them, they are going to need to be thrown out, and we don't feel the need to waste anything because these are already going in the bin. Wearing gloves also is only our second defense against any germs, any yuckies like that, but you have to wash your hands before putting your gloves on. Just putting gloves on really doesn't do much. You need to be washing your hands because your gloves are only there to protect the outside layer of your hands. Washing your hands will really get rid of anything that is already there. Wearing our disposable gloves, they should always be latex gloves, but if you are allergic, the service should have gloves to suit your needs. They will often be a nitrile disposable glove. Today's blood spill will be cleaned first of all with paper towel. Just get some paper towel. You don't need too much, it's only a very small spill. We're then going to, first of all, wipe up the blood with our paper towel as much as we can. In real life, the paper towel would definitely pick up more than this. There wouldn't be that much residue left over unless you have left it for a period of time, which any blood spills you really want to clean as soon as you find them. Don't ever leave them for when you have time. Do them straight away, always. We also use paper towel because there wasn't that much blood. Paper towel is going to do the job, and we don't need to allow it to soak, or we don't need to use any absorbing agents. We don't. There is a degree of caution that we need to take when disposing of our paper towels. Always ensure that if there's any blood on it, you do fold the paper towel over so you can't actually see any blood from the outside. Placing this in the bag, you need to place it directly in. Try not to let it touch the outside or any of the edges. You then need to safely remove your gloves, ensuring that nothing is touching them, anything like that. You can even give them a little bit of a pull, and then one ends up inside of the other. That is the safest way to do it. That way, if anyone ever has to touch them for some reason, they will be touching the inside, which was on your hands, and it is contaminant free. You then place those into the rubbish bag as well, also trying to avoid any edges just in case there was some contaminants on the outside. Now that we have removed our gloves and put them all in the bin, after cleaning up the blood, we do need to wash our hands again. This is due to just in case anything has gone through our gloves, and we need to protect ourselves from that. And you should always, when you're about to put a new pair of gloves on, and we know that you should always wash your hands before putting on a pair of gloves, So wash them nice and thoroughly, always following the 10-step procedures. Never skipping out on that. Even if you have already just washed your hands and they've only been inside gloves, you still need to make sure you're following that. We do. So just washing and then putting on a nice clean pair of gloves. Making sure to get all the soap off. And thoroughly drying our hands. So we don't get any bacteria overgrowth within the clothes. There we go. Always using a new pair of gloves as well. Never use the old ones, even if they didn't seem dirty. Always use a new pair. After we put on our new gloves, after washing our hands, we then need to get our detergent solutions and buckets to make the detergent water. Opening that one up, just putting some water inside it, following all manufacturer instructions, as all detergents are different. So even if you've used the same one before, definitely still read it, because it could be a different concentrate Something simple like that. Okay, so we put our bucket here, and then after reading the instructions on my detergent bottle, it says that we need to have 1/5 of detergent to 5 parts water. So I'm just going to add that in, not too much. And then we move over to the site again. For cleaning a blood spill, this is where we use our disposable cloth. So you just rip one off. They come off quite simply. They're all perforated on there. You then take your cloth and we're soaking it in our detergent solution. Make sure it is all covered. Really soaking up the detergent, making sure you're getting those cleaning agents in there ready for the blood spill. Now we take it out. You need to make sure you always squeeze all the excess water out. You don't want to make a bigger mess than you've already got, really. So squeezing that one out, wringing it out, and then we need to use really vigorous motions on our blood spill, which will help to remove it. Just like that. Going in a circular pattern is my favourite preference, as you go over the same places, only slightly with the same up and down. Also helps it too, but to get a really vigorous movement going in a circle really helps you to do that. Using detergent also allows you to double check that you have cleaned the area. As before, when we had started, we did still see some of the blood left over on the table from when we used the paper towel, but using detergent makes sure it has actually been cleaned with disinfectant, but it also allows you to see that it's gone. After cleaning the surface with detergent, you also need to rinse it with some warm water. Just clean water though, not with detergent water. Just tipping a little bit on the table. Just enough to cover the area the blood spill was in. And then you just have to give it some time. Then we're wiping it up with some paper towel and allowing it to air dry. I allow the blood spill area to sit for a few minutes just with some clean water left on it. Grabbing a paper towel just to soak up all that excess water. Also remembering, just like your hands, you can't leave something damp. That's when bacteria will start to grow, it will. Just that. You might even need some more. Feel free to get some more. There we go. So once you've got up all the majority of the water, you can give it time to air dry. It doesn't need to all be picked up with the paper towel. Now that we have cleaned our blood spill and we're allowing the area to air dry, we need to place all of our contaminated items into our rubbish bag. There we go. So we place that one in, we place our cloth in, and we're going to place our gloves in. Also remembering to always take them off correctly. You need to ensure that you are also always using a different plastic rubbish bag than the general waste, as this is contaminated biohazard rubbish. Never put anything contaminated in the normal bin. Just opening that up and popping it in there. Now that we have finished cleaning our area of blood spill and it is just air drying, we do need to take our bag with all of our contaminated items, gloves, cloths, paper towels, everything like that. Anything we've touched really today needs to be thrown away. So we do just want to take it. Twisting it up like this really helps you to tie it as close as you can to the bag, just so no more air can get into it. Then pulling it through, pulling it not all the way through, really tightly, just like that. Leaves a little bit of space in there, but there is no air in there. And then this is ready to go in the rubbish bin. Now that we have just emptied out our rubbish bag and putting all our contaminated items in there, we do need to put on a new pair of gloves. I have just washed my hands and dried them with paper towel. So putting these on just for the last stages of cleaning. Putting them on. Making sure they're on correctly always. Also always double checking there's no rips, no nothing in them. Using bleach is not essential in cleaning up bodily spills. It is needed though to clean a blood spill over the size of our palms, but as we cleaned one under the size of a 50-cent piece today, we do not need to use bleach. The correct way to know the portions of your bleach to use is always reading the back of the label. Even if it doesn't have a label, you then need to find one with a label. If there is no label on the bleach, that bottle should probably be discarded and not used anymore if there is no label for it. You do not need to use bleach, but if you do, it should always be left to air dry. That is how bleach works best. You rub it in a little bit, give it some time to air dry. You don't need to wipe it up really quickly. You just need to make sure no one goes near the table during the time of use. Now we are outside at the big rubbish bins. This is where we always want to put our rubbish. Never putting even this, even though it is tied up, secured, never putting this indoors. Always putting it in the red bin, as it is rubbish and contaminated items. You also want to take off your gloves before doing this process, as you are touching a bin, and then when you return inside you will have to wash your hands and put on gloves for the final steps. Now that we've just come back inside from putting our rubbish in the bin, we've just washed our hands, we've put on our gloves, and we're ready to wash our bucket. This bucket should always be washed after use. It doesn't need to be done until the very last steps though. So just emptying out that cold water from before, and then we're going to use some more detergent, just liberally squeezing that in there, cleaning it, there we go. We also want to grab a sponge, which, grab this one, wetting the sponge with hot water, and also filling up the bucket with hot water really helps to clean it. So we're just going to take our sponge, squeeze water out of it, and just start scrubbing on the inside. Even if there is no visible marks, you still need to clean it as if there is visible marks. It's very noisy, I'm sorry. Always cleaning out the bucket, best of your abilities. There we go, cleaning all four sides as well as the bottom. And if you have a circle bucket, cleaning the whole thing around the sides. Even cleaning up the top like this. There we go. And then we just need to rinse it out with some water. Filling her up a little bit. And then filling her up. Oops, we lost a little bit of water. But then taking our sponge again. There we go. Just finally rubbing it down. And then emptying the water out one more last time. There we go. That is how you clean your spilled bucket after a spill. You then need to take your freshly washed bucket, leaving it outside to dry. It is best if you can have it tipped upside down so that water can leak out of it and doesn't sit in the bottom of it. But in the sun, where the sun can reach it, is exactly what we need. Just like so. Just so that all the water can drip out of it and it doesn't sit in there while it dries. Now that we have taken the bucket outside after washing it, we can take off our gloves for the last time. Taking them off safely as always from the palm, inserting the finger into this second glove so it goes around. Now these gloves can be placed in the bin, like the regular bin as it is. It hasn't touched any contaminated surfaces at all. They've only been on since we've used disinfectant and everything we have. Now we just need to wash our hands and then we're done with cleaning up blood spill.